we on? We'll call the meeting to order of the City of Atwater City Council on June 9th, 2014 at 6 o'clock. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Jeff Rivera. Remain standing for the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father, as we approach your throne tonight, we're so thankful that we can. We thank you for all those that are here tonight. And Lord, as we're in our business meeting tonight, we ask that you give us wisdom. We do pray for our fire and our police that are out on duty today. Lord, protect them, build a hedge around them. We thank you for their service. We do pray that you be with their families as well. Lord, we ask that everything that is said and done here tonight will be that to glorify thy name. For we do ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please be seated. I want to thank you all for coming. We have some guests tonight. Roll call.
Bergman,
Here.
Mooneyham,
Here.
Jeff Rivero,
Here.
Joe Rivero,
Here.
Paul.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have an announcement from our city manager, Petro.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a real quick note. On June 12th, this Thursday, we're having a Neighborhood Watch rally meeting at the Community Center. Our Neighborhood Watch Councilman Jeff Rivera, who was assigned to the Neighborhood Watch program last year, will be there along with our coordinator, Jim Vineyard. We're encouraging everybody that has a Neighborhood Watch to show up. If you don't have a Neighborhood Watch, we will make sure that you get one started. And we'll be there from 5:30 till about 6:30, 7 o'clock. So the following Thursday, we'll also have another town hall meeting. And this one is going to be at the community center also, and it's going to have to do with the HERO program. And we'll have some financing availability there for some banks, if anybody's interested in going to solar. Another project that the council approved last council meeting. So we have two town hall meetings scheduled for this month, the 12th and the 19th. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda as posted. Council, this is the time the city council may remove an item from the agenda or change the order of the agenda. City council, is there any person who wishes to amend or change the agenda for the June 9th? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Councilman Bergman.
Move to approve the agenda as posted.
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Mr. Jeff Rivero. Moved by Mr. Councilman Bergman, seconded by Councilman Jeff Rivero. Any further questions? Call for the question.
Joe Rivero,
Yes.
Mooneyham,
Yes.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Bergman,
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mayor or city attorney's report out from closed session. There were no reportable items occurred. Action was taken. No reportable action was taken. Staff was given direction. Certificates, presentations. Nisa Cox and family, are you here? Come forward, please. Right up, please. Over here. Lisa, you may sit right here. Okay. This is Nisa Cox. Nisa Cox has been an employee of the City of Atwater for 19 and a half years. And Nisa is going to introduce her family for us.
This is my daughter, Sarah, and my husband, Kelly Cox.
Okay. We've had the pleasure of working with Nisa. She's been our employee for 19 and a half years. And the City of Atwater would like to give you this certificate of appreciation and for all of your dedication and your work in regards to the City of Atwater. Nisa, we cannot thank you enough for your dedication. And so on behalf of the City Council and on behalf of the citizens of Nice, of the city, we want to thank you so much. Job well done. Nita is going on to work at the Delhi City, Denair School District. So they're very fortunate to have you, and thank you. You should be very proud. 19 and a half years. Good job. Thank you, sir, for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you. Watch out the step. Careful. Thank you. Officer Torres, is he in the house? And Lieutenant Joseph? This young man here, Officer Torres, is our we'll get him straightened out in the back row there. Anyway, we are very, very proud of Jose Torres. He is our Officer of the Year for 2014. He just does a fantastic job. He helped me out in a very difficult situation because of his being able to be bilingual. And so with that, I'm going to switch places. And Lieutenant Joseph, I'd like you to present this recognition to Officer Torres and add a few words, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is Jose Torres. When I was an instructor in the academy, I was in his class, and when I saw him as a student, I didn't see him write down very many things. I got kind of concerned, and as an instructor, I would go up to him, and his grades and his test scores were outstanding. So I immediately told him that no other agency were hiring except for Atwater. So I gave him the only application available, and that was ours. So we got him over here. We were very fortunate. Jose is probably one of our top officers. He was a reserve officer since 2008. He held out during the time we were having financial difficulties in the city. We told him to hang in there. Many agencies were looking at him, and during our problem time, he was almost gonna leave. And Chief Petro convinced him to stay, and then he was ended up hiring in 2013, and his cohorts and his teammates and the officers all voted for him unanimously to vote him Officer of the Year. So he is one of our top officers. The City of Atwater is very, very fortunate to have this young man here. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to everybody. Thanks to the Police Department administration. They've been like a family for me. I really love this department, this city, even though I didn't grow around here. The citizens are great. I give my life for you guys. I'm here to protect you. My very best.
Do we have any members of the Buhack High School Track and Field Group? Okay, we will present those later. Thank you.
And Atwater High.
I know these young people are here with their group. I would like to, this group of individuals is our Atwater High School FFA program. And Mr. Gosman, please come up. Mr. Gosman is head of the department. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to have these three young people are the coaches or the instructors. And then I'd like to have you come up by your, like the dairy. Would you please come up and stand next to Mr. Gosman, because that happens to be your area of expertise. Mr. Meredith, why don't you come over on this side? And then we have agronomy. Dairy, you only have 2 people today? Oh, Mr. Gosman. The rest are at the fair, okay. And then we have agronomy. And we have ag mechanics. You have anybody in ag mechanics, Mr. Meredith? 3, good. And I see 2 proud parents out there, the Camish family, and they have 2 of their young people that are part of our ag mechanics group. So we do want to thank all of the parents that are here tonight. I just want you to take a look at these outstanding young people. They are the best in the state of California, the best. They won the ag mechanics competition for the state of California. They're going to Kentucky to meet in the nationals. They won the state of California in the dairy judging, right over here, and agronomy. The coach is right there, and this group. So they had 3 groups that went to the state finals in Cal Poly and came home winners. Give them a round of applause, please. And part of their group is at the fair, because the fair has started with the judging. And this wonderful group of individuals from Atwater High School, if you go, they have all kinds of items that they are judging, and we really appreciated them taking time away from the fair to come and be with us today. So we're going to need to have your help from the city, because these young people are going to need some money to go to Kentucky. It's going to cost them about $30,000 to go, so they need the help from you to go. But we hope that we will be honoring them when they come back from, when do you go to Kentucky? October. So we'll be honoring you in November for your winning of the state of the national champions, right, people? Yes, good job. Okay, with that, I'm going to ask the different instructors, and I'm going to start with Mr. Meredith, since he's right next to me. He's the only person I know that had a ribbon cutting, and you know what he used for ribbon? Cable. Yes, I'll never forget Mr. Meredith's cable ribbon cutting. Yes, so Mr. Meredith, I'm going to give you, just hold on for this a minute, Mr. Meredith, and you can talk about your group.
Actually, we used a plasma cutter too, and it was quite a blast. My name's Sam Meredith. I'm the ag welding instructor at Atwater High School, and I actually have 4 young men. One couldn't make it tonight in the ag mechanics contest. There's over 70 teams in the state, and here to my left I have Joseph Camish, followed by Ryan Machado Bell and John Carlo Camish also. They're cousins, so.
You look at the names, and then we'll see if we, who we're. I'm supposed to have a helper here, but I forgot to bring him down. Okay, who do we have first?
There's that one. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's Mr. Meredith. Yes, okay. Announce his name, please, Mr. Camish. Okay.
And he couldn't make it tonight. Juan Luis Fidela.
Juan Luis Lavella. Carlo Camish.
And Ryan Machado Bell.
Ryan Machado Bell. Congratulations. Job well done. Okay, Mr. Gosman, come on over. This young man happens to be the head of the department for Atwater High School. Oops. Got the wrong one.
That's all right. Can we say a few words or two?
Oh, yeah, yes, you need to say a few words.
Okay, I'm going to give 2 shout-outs. First off, we appreciate the opportunity to be here amongst the council and the city. Something that we take a lot of pride in this year is this school year we became actually the largest single high school ag program in the entire nation. And so we've got a lot of kids, over 900, that are involved in our program, and regardless of whether they go into ag, I think being exposed to ag and part of it's been a positive influence on their lives. I also want to give a shout out because we have a coach here that actually was a student teacher, and as you know, one of our staff members, Beth Williams, has been battling cancer, and she really established a foundation with the agronomy team, and she stepped in, and we were all going to kind of chip in, but she took the bull by the horns and did an outstanding job. And Natalie Borba here, I have to give another shout out because even though we've had 3 state champion teams, we actually had 4 because they won the cotton judging team in the fall. They don't have a nationals, but we didn't want to treat her like polyester and make sure we acknowledge her. So with that, want to introduce the state champion milk quality and dairy foods. It's kind of a cheesy contest. Sorry. Just trying to match your wit and humor along. Here we go. You want me to give them the names, or do you want to? Move along. Oh, move along. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, we have. I'm just getting introduced. We have Hans Van Warmerdam. He's milking a cow at the fair. I apologize for the smell. I've been at the fair, so blame me. We have Goldie is here. Caitlin Baptista is also at the fair with her animals, but they will be representing the entire state at the national finals this October.
Thank you very much. Oh, we missed one?
Oh, Emmanuel, sorry. Emmanuel made me nervous, and I don't get nervous often.
Really?
Yeah, well,
I put you in charge, so you wouldn't miss one.
You know, got Officer of the Year, Mayor, it's the big leagues. Emmanuel Avila.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cosman. And we really need to give this young man a round of applause because he's been the kind of this whatever's kept this group at Atwater High School together.
It's a team.
Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, we're going to come over to this side, and you ladies are going to have to introduce yourselves because, so I'm going to start with you.
I'm Natalie Borba, one of the other agriculture teachers here at Atwater High School, and this would be the agronomy team that I will have the pleasure of going with back to nationals, but who did the hard work to get them here would be Miss Katie Schmittig, so we're going to pass it over to her and she can talk about the state winning team.
Thank you. This team right here defeated all odds. They're actually only 3 freshmen and 1 sophomore, so they beat out all of the 4-year competitors that we like to call them. So who do we have first? Emma Reyes, our 1 sophomore. Diana Argueta. Daryl Dorsey. And Madison Hall. Oh, thank you.
And thank you very, very much. And on behalf of the City Council and on behalf of the city, you people really make us proud. And so thank you again. Good luck. And I know we will be seeing each other in November. Thank you. Oh, she wants a picture?
Yes, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Promote the town.
Oh, promote. That's good. We need the promote. Yeah. Thank you and good luck in the fair. And if any of you want to bid on their cattle, they'll be more than happy to have you come to the sale on Saturday, right? Okay, thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you.
Three more years together. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Having it. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations there.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, that's right. Okay, do we have Dan Barton and do we have Mr. Hickson from Peggy Heller? Okay, but we have the coach, and that would be Coach Joe Rivero. So come on up. Coach? Oh, he broke it already. How did I know he was going to be so efficient? This is the Peggy Heller Award Group, and so I'm going to let Mr. Barton explain to you about it. And one of the coaches from Peggy Heller is our Councilman Joe Rivero. So Peggy Heller had a wonderful track team this year. So I'm going to turn it over to Dan Barton.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, this year, 2014, we had a track meet at Atwater High School. We were, the winning coach was from Peggy Heller School. Coach was Joe Rivero and Glenn Jones. So I just want to present this plaque. It's got your name on it a few times here, so hopefully a few more. We're going to have to add some spots here for everyone. Yeah, it's full. So I want to thank you for your hard work. In elementary schools, especially elementary schools, athletic departments are being cut, and it's good to see track meets and things like that still being involved with kids. We had over 500 competitors in this track meet this year.
And what was so wonderful was that these competitors went on to the county track meet and did outstanding there. So we just want to thank Mr. Barton and for putting on this track meet. It's a fantastic job that he does, and we just want to thank him and all his helpers, and thank Coach Joe Rivero and all of the elementary people who participate in it, because it takes a lot of work to put it on.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to accept this on behalf of the Principal Hickson, so we can hang it up on the wall. You can see it's full up now, but the city has put on this track meet for over 50 years. And so kids, as he said, 500 kids got to participate this year, so this is a really wonderful thing the city's done for many, many, many years, and the schools really take pride in this. I mean, Thomas Leda, Elmerwood, Schaefer, and now Peggy Heller has their turn. So I want to thank you for all the work you do and everybody from the city that puts this on.
Thank you, Joe.
This is really great.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You know, it's wonderful that what is happening in our community, and we really don't know, but our schools are just doing an outstanding job. Atwater High School, Buhack Colony, our junior highs, Bellevue, Mitchell Senior and Elementary, and all of our elementary schools in the city of Atwater. We have something to be very, very proud of what we have. So I just want to thank and recognize all the wonderful people that have made our schools such a great place. Next item is comments from the public. Notice to the public. At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. Please state your name and address for the record. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda item. Future agenda. To comment on an item that is on the agenda, please wait until the item is read for consideration, and please limit your comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been the mayor of the city of Atwater for about 7.5 years. And one of the things that the people elected me to do was to run these meetings. And I want the public to understand that I take this role very seriously. I'm not a referee, I'm not a mediator, I'm the mayor. And I will run the meeting to the best of my ability. In order to make our meetings run as effectively as possible, I need everyone's cooperation. From the city staff, I need accurate information. concise staff reports. From my fellow council members, I need your patience and cooperation. I will try to allow everyone a fair opportunity to speak on every item, but you will try to allow everyone, but you can help me by staying on topic and avoiding personal attacks on one another. From the public, I understand that when you are speaking, I will give you my undivided attention. I ask the same courtesy from you. Please avoid private conversations with other members of the audience. Many times we can hear what you're saying or your conversation is disruptive to the rest of the audience and to the City Council. If you need to speak to another member of the audience, please feel free to step outside. First person is Mr. Price.
Surprise of all surprises. Jim Price,
Nice to see you.
3467 Village Woods. Madam Mayor, City Council members, ladies and gentlemen, this past City Council meeting, I just want to say that the reason my smiling face wasn't here was because we were busy fighting fire up at the Hunter Valley Fire by way of Erickson heavy lift helicopter. And I just wanted to remind the public how extremely tinder dry it is up there, and to please be extremely careful up there. Over this past week, I'm on a thing for Facebook, and I see in Mariposa and Tuolumne counties, this past week there's been no less than probably 4 fires throughout that area up there. And it's just like one behind another. So please be extra careful. I also wanted to congratulate the candidates. This past election was a very informative and very spirited debate and campaign by all. I want to congratulate Darren McDaniel, who is sitting here front and row and center tonight, Tony Dossetti, who will run off in District 3. On behalf of the Merced and Atwater Tea Party, we are going to be conducting candidate debates again between now and November, to which I'm sure Tony and Darren will be part of that. Johnny Teixeira and Jim Costa, and we have an assurance from Jim Costa that he will participate in this debate, and also the sheriff's debate between Pat Lunny and Vern Warnke. So I just wanted to let the people know that, and also they can hear those dates if they miss it here by way of listening to our radio program, to which I'm one of the co-hosts on KYOS Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock. We will be announcing those dates then. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Judy. One last thing. I just wanted to make a plea also. Greg reminded me of it. Please, for God's sakes, this year, ladies and gentlemen, and at home if you're watching, please, please, please donate to the 4th of July committee this year. If you read the article in the newspaper, they're running short on funds. We're advertising it on the radio. We're going to keep on pushing it right up until the 4th of July. It's a great thing. I was privileged to be on the stage last year as a musician, and it was really a uplifting experience, although it was about 108 degrees out there that day, but it was great just the same, and great fireworks display. Thanks.
Thank you. Next person, please.
Madam Mayor, City Council, the public. My name is Judy Bowling, and you say don't attack an individual. If you will look over to your left, Madam Mayor, you will see somebody on a computer. That is so disrespectful. What is more important than listening to what the public has to say that's taken the time to come here? Close the computer.
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
Let me-
Point
let
of
me-
order. You
Mr.
just made a statement that there is not going to be a tax, and yet
Mr.
my
Rivero,
note-taking on a
would you
computer is
please,
insulting
thank you,
in some way.
Mr. Rivero,
Thank you.
please let me take care of, computers are a part of the, that they may use them, and we apologize if they are bothering you. We don't mean to be rude to you, but it is a form of the
It's a form of
recording.
communication to whomever he chooses to
Well,
have
please,
it with.
Mrs. Boeing, I really, please, I say the same to Councilman Joe Rivero, I say the same to you. Please make a statement without him making a personal attack.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then let me reword that. Madam Mayor, I sure wish that you could control the members up at the dais as to using electronics. The recording secretary, I'm sure, and the city clerk can tell you every word that's been said without this computer going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm very bad at staying within 3 minutes, so I'll try to read off my paper. Usually I get up about this time of year. I'm Greg McDaniel with the Atwater 4th of July, 754 Cadota Avenue. I try to get everybody all pumped up and interested in the Atwater 4th of July, which we are looking forward to this year. But this year, more than any other year in my 15 years or so of being on the committee, we are financially hurt. I'm thinking maybe it was about 7 years ago, the city helped us out a little bit when we had a very bad year. And it was greatly appreciated, and it did help us over the hump. But with the declining income and escalating costs of the fireworks show, we're still looking at $23,000 just for the show, another $2,000 to $3,000 porta potties, on and on and on for the show. That show cost about $30,000 to put on. It generates about $7,000 income with gate fees and things like that. It's near impossible without donations to run the Atwater 4th of July. We do our best by selling rental space for booths at Ralston Park. We do the parade and we charge $20 an entry for that. We sell our t-shirts for $10 a t-shirt. Donation cans are all around town. So far this year we've collected just $900 for a couple of months worth of work on the cans. It usually generates about $2,000. Our t-shirt sales are down about $500. The worst thing for us is the businesses, which is understandable because the businesses are just struggling to hang on themselves. 5 years ago, we were getting about $22,000 to $24,000 a year in donations from businesses, and this year we're sitting at about $7,500. We are punching away at it, trying to get it the best we can. Since I showed up tonight, Jim Vineyard and Eric Lee both pledged donations, which is great. I'll come to more meetings if I can leave with checks. We're having raffle items this year. We've done casino bus trips. On our website, which is www.atwater4thofjuly.com. You can contact us 2 or 3 different ways. You can hit the donate button. We thought the donate button was the greatest thing since sliced bread, but since we put it in for 2014, we've gotten $35 donated on it. We're just hoping people notice it if we bring our plight to light, as they say. We have a planned motorcycle run later this year. We have a planned fundraiser for bands playing in a nightclub and donating the gate to the 4th of July. We opened a GoFundMe website where we get on the internet and we beg people for money that way. That generated $250. We are trying everything we know, but with a committee of 10 people, it is just tough. We understand it's the 4th of July and nobody wants to be out picking out trash and restocking porta potties and that kind of stuff on the 4th of July. They'd rather be eating barbecue and spending time with Uncle Bob, but life is how it is, and we're asking just to help us get the word out that we need donations.
Mr. McDaniel and your staff, we want to thank you very, very much for what you've done in your contribution to our wonderful 4th of July. I think we're in our 52nd year, and Mr. McDaniel, the council, and the staff up here, we have agreed to donate $350 towards the 4th of July, and we hope that everybody out in the audience, everybody, when you go buy one of those red things, put in some money so we can continue this tradition that we've had. So please, we really appreciate anybody, no matter what the thing is, please donate to the 4th of July, because we want to continue our tradition. So the big council is, and the dais, everybody here.
We really appreciate it. We really do. It's been around 55 years now, so It'll be around another 55.
Yes.
We'll make it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lee?
Was that 300 each?
Sir, $350 each.
I donated 250.
Well, I thank you very much. That's our start, sir. We're starting.
I heard 300 each.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Anyone else who wishes to speak? Seeing none, we will close the public comment and we will move on to the consent calendar. Notice to the public, background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar. These items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If discussion is requested on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Council persons, is there any, Councilman Jeff Rivero.
I didn't mean to step in. I was going to make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second by Mr. Bergman. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward and speak on any item that's on the consent calendar? Seeing none, we'll call for the question.
Mooneyham,
Yes.
Joe Rivero,
Yes.
Bergman,
Yes.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Fall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is a public hearing, and it's item number 3, and we're waiving the first reading of and introducing ordinance number CS 954, temporarily amending ordinance number CS 824, number CS 945, number CS 947, number CS 948, to extend the temporary fee reduction of the public facility and improvement fees charged for new residential development. We will start with the staff report from Community Development Director McBride.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. As you know, we had provided you an update at a recent meeting talking about the current fee reduction program that's in place, and we gave you information that it was set to sunset at the end of June. The council provided some direction to place the item on an agenda, which is here tonight for your consideration. We prepared the notice as required to have this be public, and essentially it's a very straightforward amendment. It is to add 5 months, which would get the program through the end of November of this year. And all other aspects of the program, which you're familiar with, would stay the same. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. And Mayor, as you noted, it is a public hearing, so we would want to have opportunity for the public to get up and speak on behalf of this item.
Okay, council persons, this is the time for you to ask questions of the Community Development Director, Mr. McBride, before we open up the public hearing. Mr. Mooneyham, do you have any questions regarding this matter?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Bergman, Councilman Bergman, do you have any questions? Okay. Councilman Joe Rivero?
Not at this time.
This is the time to ask. Okay.
I have just a question for legal counsel.
Okay. Mr. Jeff Rivero, any questions before we open up the public hearing? Any questions of Mr. McBride? Okay. Now is the time. We'll open up the public hearing. Persons may come forward and speak on this item, either for or against. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and we will. So, if there anybody in the audience who'd like to come forward and speak on this item. Okay, if we have no persons who wish to come forward, we will close the public hearing, bring it back to the dais. And before I entertain a motion, or one more time, I will ask the council if there's any person who wishes to speak on this item. Councilman Joe Rivero.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. No, this is for legal counsel. If a member has sold a piece of property to any of the individuals here that are about to benefit within the past year or will benefit in any way from selling exclusively to any of these developers, is there a conflict of interest or is there not?
I'm going to ask you if I could, and I apologize, I didn't follow the exact fact pattern. Could you repeat it for me, just summary form?
Well, I'm saying if a member of the council has sold properties for any of these developers and is profited by it, or in the future will sell a piece of property by these developers that are going to benefit from this, is there a conflict of interest? Should they step down during this? That's my question.
If a member of this body is to vote on a fee reduction for somebody that they have a direct business relationship with, and that person, that business entity has been a source of income to them in the preceding 12 months, then the Political Reform Act would dictate that they would have a conflict and couldn't participate. But each one of those cases is decided on its facts. Each one is decided based on the unique circumstances of that case. And to my knowledge, at least, no member of this body has contacted me and asked me for advice on that subject with respect to this item.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Jeff Rivero, do you have any questions on this item? Staff's recommendation is that we open the public hearing, and we did that and closed it. Now we have it back on the dais. Motion to waive the first reading and introduce an ordinance number CS 94, temporarily amending the ordinance number CS 824, ordinance number CS 945, and ordinance number CS 947, ordinance number CS 948, extending the fee reduction, specific fee elimination and fee deferral program through November 30, 2014, keeping the cap of 30 units per developer, which are eligible under the program, and providing the City Council discretion to approve or deny additional requests for additional units under the approval program. Mr. Mooneyham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You know what? I will say something on this, if I may. I see your hand up. No?
Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. You know, this council actually does quite a few things, believe it or not, that never bear any fruit. Flat out, sometimes they just don't work. We try in earnest to gather all the pertinent facts and all the information and put together a reasonable effort to make something work. In this case, it was to foster and spur construction in this community. This is something that's worked, okay? We have Meadowview, the Puro homes, they're under new construction, they're selling houses. We have Blue Mountain Group that just pulled 14 permits in the old Claremont Reserve, not to mention the other first builder that came in and pulled permits. This worked. This worked. I'm happy for it. I hope it keeps on going as long as it can. Thank you.
Would you like to make a motion? We're ready for one.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve staff's recommendation as presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Bergman. Any further discussion? Any council person wish to discuss, have any questions or discussion on this item? Call for the question.
Bergman,
Yes.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Mooneyham,
Yes.
Joe Rivero,
No.
Fall,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 4, consider establishing term limits for mayor and members of the city council serving the city of Atwater. I'm going to defer to our city attorney, Terpstra.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. It is recommended that the council consider waiving the first reading and introducing the ordinance that is attached that would accomplish the term limits that was discussed in a previous council meeting. The reason you're adopting this ordinance tonight, you're adopting it for the purpose of submitting it to the voters. That's unlike you usually do when you adopt an ordinance or waive and the preceding ordinance being a good example of that. In this case, you're adopting the ordinance or introducing it for the purpose of presenting it to the voters. And so this is a step along the way in the process. At a subsequent meeting, you'll take final action on the ordinance, again, for the purpose of submitting it to the voters. along with a resolution that would forward this entire matter to the county for purposes of handling the election in November. There is one correction on the ordinance I'd like to bring to your attention, and it is in Section 6. It's mainly a formatting issue, but it deals with the fact that in Section 5, the effective date of the ordinance is upon approval of a majority of the eligible voters at the regular election of November 4th. And so the Section 6, the first full sentence, which reads, "This ordinance shall take effect and be in force 30 days after the date of its passage," comes out. That's typical for the ordinances that you would adopt, including the one in the previous agenda item, but that sentence would come out of this ordinance as recommended by staff. So again, what this ordinance does is establish the term limits parameters that will be submitted to the voters for their approval or rejection, and only upon its passage would this ordinance become effective. So the staff recommendation tonight is to waive the first reading and introduce the ordinance again for the purpose of submitting it to the voters in November. And I'll be happy to answer any questions about the measure.
Any questions? Jeff Rivero, do you have any questions of the city attorney in regards to this matter? Joe Rivero, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Councilman Bergman?
No questions.
And Councilman Mooneyham? Okay. And the public, do we have anybody that wishes to come forward and speak on this matter? Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will bring it back to the dais, and then we will ask one more time before we entertain a motion. Does anybody have, everybody does not have questions on this matter, this agenda item? I'll entertain a motion then. Councilman Bergman.
Yes, I'll make the motion to approve staff's recommendation as presented with the omission of the said sentence in Section 6. That would be to waive first reading, yes.
Okay. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Mooneyham. Do we have any further discussion? Call for the question.
Jeff Rivero,
No.
Bergman,
Yes.
Joe Rivero,
No.
Mooneyham,
Yes.
Fall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number reports and presentations from staff. Verbal review of the fire department's activities and projects for the month of May 2014. Chief Fire Chief Pimentel, thank you.
Madam Mayor, council members, citizens of the city of Atwater, for the month of May, your fire department ran a total of 262 calls, 7 structure fires, 7 other fires, 15 vehicle accidents, 205 medical aids, 3 hazardous materials, hazardous conditions situations, and 25 public assists. We also did 155 weed abatements in the city of Atwater. Number of contractors that did abatement, we had 14 that actually did some abatement in the city of Atwater. We also had 1 public education. We did hose testing through the month of May, which consisted of approximately 50 feet, 50 lengths, and then business inspections, we did 55. Training sessions were 2, and then 120 hours for our reserve program worked. They also received 2 hours of training for the month of May. We also had a nice fire that was out by the Osborne Park this last month. With speedy response, we had engine 42 and engine 41 respond, and was able to contain it to less than an acre. Once again, we're getting into those fires, the fire season, dry and low humidities, and once these fires get going, it was really difficult to actually get it contained. But with also help from the property owner doing some weed abatement, they actually had a plowed line around their property, and along with the engine's speedy response, along with assistance from the county of Merced, we were able to contain it to that area and actually save 3 structures in that area. But that was the month of May. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the chief? Mr. Mooneyham?
No, Mayor.
Mr. Bergman? Councilman Bergman? Jeff Rivera? No? Joe? Anybody in the audience, or do you have a question? Please come forward and state your name, address, ask the question. Seeing none, I just want to thank you so much, Chief, and I want to ask the people to please look around your board fences, look in the back. If you've got a vacant lot behind your board fence, I'd make a strong suggestion you go back in that area that's vacant and somehow make a fire break next to your board fence, because it's really dry out there, and especially with the wind. We are working very hard to work on some of these people who have 7 days to get their lots cleaned up. And so we really can't emphasize enough, because it's really a threat to our community, people that are not taking care of their open fields and the high grass and things. So we really want you to, if you have any concerns, anything like that, please give the fire department a call. They'll come right out and check it out, because it's easier for us to check it out before the fire than after.
Yes, ma'am. And also, if there is anybody out there taking upon themselves to do any weed abatement, make sure that you're picking sensible hours, such as the early morning. It tends to be the better time to do any of that kind of weed abatement. Some people tend to do it in the afternoons. Obviously, the heats and the low humidities could cause issues. So we do recommend to try to do, if you do any weed abatement in the city of Atwater, do it early in the morning and have those issues addressed then.
That's a good suggestion, Chief.
Thank you,
Those
Mayor.
weed eaters do spark in the afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
Good thought there.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Item number 6, verbal review of the Police Department's activities and projects for the month of May 2014. Lieutenant Joseph.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. This is for May 2014. The Atwater Police Department continued working on vandalism investigations with our vandalism team. We conducted a DUI checkpoint, and our narcotics officers worked on a search warrant. The notable cases was was the search warrant. Our Atwater Narcotics and Gang Unit, in conjunction with the Merced Multi-Task Force units, conducted search warrants in the city of Atwater. This was an investigation that was going for several months. Two of our officers, one works the gang unit, one works the narcotic unit, were major players in this, in the success of this, and I want to congratulate them. As a result of this, 41 arrests were made, several in the city of Atwater. And because of this event, it really prevents future drug dealing in those areas. They did a great job. Also in the month, our Atwater traffic officer, Scott Duncan, conducted a DUI checkpoint for us. As a result, we had 727 vehicles that were stopped. We arrested 8 unlicensed drivers, 1 suspended license, 1 DUI arrest, 1 felony warrant, 2 misdemeanor warrant arrests, and 3 vehicles were impounded as a result. Also, in the month of May, on the 20th, we had a subject on Secretariat that was outside. A vehicle drove by and shot at him. He was struck. Investigation's ongoing. Calls for service were 2,042. We had 134 arrests, 0 murders, 1 rape, 1 robbery, 1 assault. Thefts were 45, burglaries were 26, citations were 167, and stolen vehicles were 9, with 4 still outstanding. And that's it.
Any questions of the lieutenant? Starting with Jeff. Any questions? Okay. Joe? No. Questions? Larry? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to ask a question? Please come forward, state your name, and ask the question. Thank you.
Thank you,
Job well done. Next person is our Public Works Department and Activities and Projects. And we have interim Director Ferretta. Mr. Ferretta, you had a wonderful report, 3.5 pages. That's one of the things about being in a department that has many different areas. So, wonderful report. And do you have a summary of it, or would you like to just have your report stand as presented, and then we can ask questions?
I was going to ask you that, Mayor, if you prefer, if you have any questions on the report, or if you'd like a little less detail in the future.
No, it's
happy
wonderful.
to provide that.
We never had a report like that. I never, in all of my years, Public Works, I know exactly how many, thank you. I didn't even know we knew what asphalt was. So, no, you just keep up the good work. Oh, pardon me. Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question, maybe clarification first from the city manager. Mr. Petro, the traffic signs, I've noticed a spike in graffiti in a lot of our city traffic signs, both warning signs, the yellow diamonds, and other warning signs. Whose responsibility is that currently to abate that graffiti or replace that sign?
It's our responsibility.
Okay.
And Patrick's been handling most of them.
Okay.
Also, but it's increased by about 55%
yeah.
in the last 30 days,
Yeah.
just on street signs.
Okay. Do we replace those, or do we recondition those?
There's a chemical that we have.
Basically, what happens with that, Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham, is that some of the chemicals that are being used, whether that's by our in-house folks or by our graffiti contractor, unfortunately, that chemical is harsh on the reflective surface on the signs. And sometimes it removes all of the color of the paint, like for instance a red stop sign. You use the chemical on it and it takes all the paint off. It depends on the quality of the sign, so in that particular case we do have to remove the sign and then replace it, obviously.
Yeah,
so we are in the process of doing some of that.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
The signs are very expensive, and if you want to have a new invention, figure out a substance you can put on those signs that when it's graffitied, you can take it off without taking everything else off and fading it. I have made a survey of those signs going back and forth over to the Bay Area, and unfortunately, we're not the only ones that have problems in that area. They are having the same problems over there. So it's a statewide problem. But we really want to thank you very much for really being out there and being proactive in every part of the Public Works. We thank you so much. Anybody else have questions? How about the public? Whoops. Councilman Jeff Rivero.
I was just going to tell Pat, appreciate your effort stepping up and taking over as interim and your reports and their details. It's very nice to be able to go over it and know exactly what's going on. So I just wanted to tell you thank you.
Thank you.
Any other persons? Any person in the audience like to come up and ask? Thank you, Patrick. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mayor,
Thank
following
you.
members of the council.
Item number 8. Sole source purchase and 10-year lease purchase of the Rosenbach 109 Quinn ladder truck and establishing a policy regarding color of the future fire department equipment. Chief Pimentel.
Madam Mayor, council members, residents of the city of Atwater. Today brought to you forth is a discussion of the purchase of an aerial apparatus for the city of Atwater. Currently, just to give you some background and just give you an idea exactly about it, what we currently have in service at the station is an engine/pumper. Gives us availability for hose, pumping capabilities, water tank, and small ground ladders and some tools. Ladder truck, actually a vehicle-mounted ladder truck, provides many ground ladders, power tools, hand tools, generator lights, and airbags, and so on and so forth. With this purchase that we're going to move forward towards and move towards the future is going to combine these two apparatuses. It's going to save us money for replacing the current apparatus that is becoming dated and causing more and more issues as far as keeping in repair. But purchasing what we call the Quint ladder truck will be able to provide for both the needs for the city of Atwater with a pumper capabilities and an aerial apparatus capabilities. Again, the engine company, they come in there with water using the hydrants. The ladder truck provides ladders to get to larger sized buildings, search, rescue, ventilation, elevated water streams, which we do not have the capabilities in the city of Atwater to do that right now. Our current truck is 35 years old. The trucks are expected to make about 15 to 18 years for similar uses. Right now, we're experiencing major system failures. We've had it tested. Did not pass the test. Parts are becoming difficult to obtain because of the date of the equipment. Also, the apparatus, I believe, is unsafe to operate because of the age of the equipment and our staffing levels in the city of Atwater. Repairs will be very costly to put this thing back in use. This is the apparatus that we have at the station. It's a 1979 Ford Crown chassis model, 50-foot, what they call is a telesquirt. Not necessarily used for any rescue situations, but more or less to get water to an elevated height. Also, we have currently the fire engine that needs to be replaced is 15 years old, expected 10 to 12 years of use. This current engine is about 117, 120,000 miles. It's starting to have increased maintenance issues, and it would be an ideal piece of equipment for the city of Atwater to build our replacement or actually backup resources when a piece of apparatus goes out of service. Again, this is a 1999 high-tech Spartan cab, 650-gallon tank, and 1,500 GPM pump. Some of the concerned areas I've seen when just looking around, and this is just to name a few. We've got the Bloss House, Buhack Colony High School, Elmerwood Elementary, Kmart, just to name others, Save-Mart, Super Target, and Walmart. We went out, and just to give you an idea of where these ladders that we currently have on our apparatus would reach. Yes, this does make it to the gutters of the building, but to actually get up there and actually do the job that we need, this is unsafe for my firefighters or anybody to actually do any operations on top of this roof. Again, we have Elmerwood Elementary. We weren't even able to get to the top there. The Atwater Community Center. And in Kmart, we did actually get one rung above, but again, I want to stress the fact that this one rung above is not the way to get on these roofs and do the business that we need. Two things is they have to come off there, which is called a parapet roof, and step off onto these roofs. Having one rung is not going to give them a chance to get above those and actually step over. And then actually, if they start working across these large structures, there's no visibility of where that ladder would be at. So we usually tend to have it 3 to 5 rungs above these types of structures so that we can come out and actually see where the ladder is, so in case we have to exit the roof. Just to give you a quick idea what fire flow, the quantity of water available for firefighting in a given area is calculated in addition to the normal water capacity pump station in the area, the amount of water required to extinguish a fire in a timely manner. That is a real brief idea of what a fire flow, to discuss fire flow, not to get into a whole class here about fire flow, but again, to think about areas that are showing concern is the Bellevue Bowl, Target, Walmart, Big Five, City Hall, Atwater High School. And again, to show you some of these pictures, is to actually have a fire in such as the Bellevue Bowl to get an elevated water source up there. We don't have those capabilities right now. Again, the type of roof there to get up on that roof and actually do any kind of operation is not going to be capable with the equipment we have in the city of Atwater right now. Again, Super Target.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Joe Rivera has a question.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying that the 50-foot ladder isn't capable of reaching it. I noted the ladders that you carry there won't make it, but the 50-foot ladder isn't sufficient. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's out of service. It's not used. That is out of service. It's not a
But
piece of
if
equipment.
it was in service, it would be sufficient, the 50-foot ladder.
To do an elevated water source, yes, but not to do any type of rescue or any kind of other operations on that roof.
Excuse me, Councilman Bergman?
I'll hold off. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Continue, please.
Mitchell Elementary, Walmart. And again, I just want to stress the fact that this is not just a ladder that we're using also. It's not just the fact that we're not buying this just for a ladder. It has several other uses. Vehicle extrication, rescue tools will be carried on this piece of apparatus. It's able to evacuate from high floors, multiple floors, help with problems in lighting. We also have lighting on this unit that we could use, and helping such things as around the city of elevated situations, rescues, and and give us tie-off points and all that stuff for the rescue side of it. So there's more than just a piece of equipment that's going to bring a ladder out there to get up on these buildings. It's also used in many other ways. And most of all, for myself, as a battalion chief for the city of Atwater, I'm concerned about safety. The firefighters are one of my number one concerns. They go up on these roofs, they go to do an operation. If we don't give them the proper equipment to get up on those roofs to do a safe job, we can run into a situation such as this, people falling off. Fortunately, this individual wasn't hurt. He was able to, but it shows the chances of capabilities of being on these roofs and what could happen. So to give these individuals an opportunity to have the proper equipment to do the job that's necessary in the city of Atwater, I definitely recommend to move forward with a purchase of a ladder truck or an aerial apparatus. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions.
Okay, we'll start with Councilman Jeff Rivero.
No.
No questions, sir? Okay. Councilman Joe Rivero.
No questions.
Okay. Councilman Mooneyham.
No, Mayor.
Councilman Larry Bergman.
No questions.
Okay. Do we have any persons in the audience who'd like to come forward and ask their questions? Okay.
Madam Mayor, council members, public, it's not really a question. I worked on the Measure H campaign. And to every person I spoke to and gave literature to and all of that, they were very positive. The way that this city and town is growing and the growth that they anticipate coming, all of them were in favor of this. They wanted the police first, manpower, cars, but they wanted to make sure that the fire department had what it needed and what was necessary. All of the public, of the part that I worked on, it was a definite yes.
Okay.
It's something that we need, and we should keep moving forward. We're growing, we're progressing. Thank you.
Thank you. Oops, Mr. Price.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Jim Price, 3467 Village Woods. The small-town politics of Atwater here are going to shine tonight. There's going to be a 3-2 vote, and we all know that, so this is going to be a rubber stamp. Measure H was touted as a half-cent sales tax for public safety. No one will deny that the fire department is part of public safety, and nobody is a bigger supporter of public safety, to include the fire department, than I. The proponents spoke continually of the importance of the enforcement, of law enforcement. Michelle Gray, Linda Dash, Eric Lee, Bob Calloway, and yes, Judy Bowling, stressed time after time again that the police and the importance of Measure H, what it would play in the part of staffing, equipping, and restoring pay. That was what was sold to the voters. That was what was the message. That was what it was continually throughout the process leading up to the election. So when did the priority change? We keep hearing about hotels. My question is staff right now in any kind of active discussions at any level with hotel developers or any other multi-story developers? Staff has not said whether they are or they are not. Planning Commission has yet to see anything as well come before it for any types of projects. Now, I'm not asking for the city staff to go and bring up any kind of names of any proprietary value, just in general terms, whether or not it's happening. The Walmart shopping complex did not see the need for the truck. No mitigating funds were ever required from the city in the construction of that complex, nor were they ever at Buhack Colony High School or any of the other places where they were pointed out by Chief Pimentel. Just a month ago, a huge DOD bust took place right here in our community after a 60-day investigation that was highly publicized. The need for crime, for people to be fighting crime is extremely apparent, and that was one of them. We've heard that this truck is for the future. Buy it and they will come has been the message. My questions are these. This council hammered the citizens of this community with huge sewer, water, and garbage rate increase and sold Measure H to them, and they still went ahead and voted it in despite all those. Why are they now told that it wasn't the deal that they were being presented? Why is there no competitive bid for this particular piece of equipment? That has been a question that I still have not heard answer. Where are the boots on the ground? If we have new hires, we need to know that we have new hires. If we don't, then let's say we don't. But that's where the emphasis should be. Why hasn't the...
We need to sum it up, please.
I'm trying, Mayor. Why wasn't this fire truck sold on Measure H? It never was. And why it wasn't? Because it would have never passed Measure H. Assurances have been given that business will follow. Where is it? Why is it okay to have a max of 3 cops on the street to protect 30,000 people? Mayor, I'd ask for indulgence. Mayor, I'd ask for indulgence. I'm the only voice that is going to be in opposition.
Thank you very much.
And
3 minutes.
And there's been
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
She said that she would...
Thank you. Thank you.
Remember this in November, folks.
Yes. Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to come forward and speak?
Eric Lee, 1199 Atwater Boulevard. And I don't really want to make this the Eric and Jim show. I gave 3 speeches on Measure H, and in every one of those speeches, I stressed the importance of public safety for police and fire. We talked about the acquisition of a fire truck and what that would do for Atwater going forward on at least 3 or 4 different occasions. I also talked to a lot of individuals separately about the importance of Measure H and how it would relate to both police and fire. I don't really want to get into a debate on this issue tonight. The fact is Measure H passed. It is public safety for fire, police, and 911. The funds are there. Chief Pimentel's done a good job of finding a piece of equipment and getting a lease plan together that I think works well. I also, hope that going forward, people will understand exactly why we're doing this and the importance of the decision that you're going to be making tonight. And I only hope that that you see that and you vote favorably for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Bill Barkman, 16 Castlewood Avenue. Mayor, council members, I agree with Mr. Lee. Every time that I heard Measure H referred to, and when I looked at the documents, they specifically stated it was police, fire, and 911 services. Also, I would like to state that having been in business, the idea of single source provisions is attained when you reach a certain economy of scale. And when you reach that scale, providers give you the best pricing right up front. There's no quibbling, there's no arguing, there's no hassles. And you are guaranteed the best price. That's a standard business principle when you get to a certain size. The other thing I'd like to say is that having spent 2 decades in big box retail and moving into new areas, we never went into an area that was substandard and unprepared to deal with the scope and scale of what was going to be done in that community. We walked past perfectly good communities for those that were prepared both with fire and safety and police. Businesses want to see communities that are proactive and look forward to how they can best serve those businesses that are prepared to receive them. The other thing I'd just like to ask Chief Pimentel is this. From my perspective, having looked at the equipment, having family members who are in fire and police, I see a community, as well as businesses, that are at risk. I'm wondering where we are in our risk management by not having a proactive approach to obtaining new equipment, especially since this is going to be on, if I understand it, next year's Measure H monies. So it's something that has been determined that we can afford, and I think common sense would say that it's something we should afford. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to answer Reverend Barkman's question, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
As far as risk management, just to come up with the, like I talked about the engine, being needed replacement, it's getting antiquated. Day to days, we're having issues with it, and it would be definitely a risk to the city if we have a piece of apparatus such as this go out of service at a time of need. Having this also, we're talking about the Measure H and a concept, we've only looking at prospectively using 10%, less than 10% of the Measure H funds in the upcoming year. So just from that matter, that's where we're coming from the fire services to actually just move forward slowly, and also definitely have a need for law enforcement. We worked really diligently with Chief Petro and making sure that we work together to make sure that the city is taken care of on both ends.
Thank you.
Harold Holman, 1570 Fruitland in Atwater. When the whole issue of Measure H came up, I looked at it, I voted for it, I voted so that we could increase our police department, put the people back to work at the correct salaries, that we would put money into fire, whatever safety was. At this point, equipment has got old. I saw some pictures up here of places like bowling alleys and so forth, and yes, maybe the ladders aren't big enough today. Rules have changed. The bowling alley's been there for 60 years. It's not under the, I'm sure the current ordinance and fire and so forth. I'm 100% in favor of this fire truck. My only concern, though, is we voted for Measure H for the next 10 years. Now we want to put a lease together after we've been into Measure H for a year or two, and we only have 8 years left. What are we going to do on the last 2 payments? What if Measure H doesn't fly next time around? Should we have an 8-year lease instead of a 10-year lease? Thank you very much.
Go ahead. If you could answer that, that
Madam
would
Mayor,
be...
just to give you a little bit more perspective on that lease option, there is a 10-year lease. Our plans, though, are to look at options as the years go by and figure out to actually pay this off at a sooner date. We don't tend to go the full 10 years. Once we have the available funds, this is just a reason for getting the truck at now so that we can provide the city of Atwater with the resources that it needs. And eventually, as our general fund gets better, our Measure H, and we're able to use more funds, get more businesses in the city of Atwater with revenue, we plan to pay this off before the 10 years. So the 10 years is just the release purchase, but we do plan on and saving money on the end of that. So,
Thank you. So, okay, we have another person from the audience.
Just one more. Linda Dash, Atwater. You folks have been briefed by the professionals that walk the walk as firefighters. They've told you what they're up against and what they can be up against if there's a fire and they don't have the equipment to take care of it, or if the equipment from surrounding communities can't get here in time. So put this on record. You have been briefed. You know what can happen if we don't have the equipment to take care of the problem. I will say no more.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak before I bring it back to the council? Okay, I'll bring it back to the council, and we'll, Mr. Berkman, you had your light on. Do you wish to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
And then followed by Jeff Rivero.
We've heard a lot of different comments tonight from individuals, both in favor and against, and I respect all opinions. One thing I would like to address is it was just brought up about payments. Throughout this, not once has anybody talked about our current fire impact fee accounts. That impact account is for infrastructure and equipment, and we currently have in that account enough for 2 payments. So, and it will build as we have growth in construction, but we do have the money in there that we can reduce that payment. I heard currently that, people are concerned about the Measure H money. With the estimates we've got, we're looking at approximately 7% of our yearly Measure H funds going to fire. That's it. The other money is earmarked for law enforcement. I fully agree that we need to get law enforcement back to where it was 7 years ago, and this is a step toward it. And they're getting the majority of it, but we have to look at public safety as a whole. Currently, a lot of our big box stores, we can't get to the top. Where do they keep their air conditioners and equipment? On the roof. What is the most common type of equipment to catch fire? Air conditioners. I'm not willing to take a chance on losing one of our main businesses because we can't reach the fire that we could very quickly put out had we had the ability to do it. So I understand concerns, I respect concerns, but this is a piece of equipment that is desperately needed, and the citizens deserve it. This is for the citizens, for the businesses. They deserve to be protected, and we need this to adequately do that. Thank you.
Councilman Jeff Rivero.
I was going to ask our attorney, our legal team, on the impact fees. This is quite a while back, 2008 to 2010. A lot of hotels, and I think there was between 8 and 10 of them, looked to come into the city of Atwater. Unfortunately, they were told that you're going to boot up for this whole fire truck, and that pretty well scared most of them away. My question to you would be, with the impact fees, if we get a hotel or other larger businesses in, would the impact fees that they pay, or could we increase our impact fees to cover what's being taken out of Measure H? So would Measure H be refunded? And do we have to address our impact fees now that we're picking up a ladder truck?
Well, your impact fees could be adjusted to account for increased needs for fire protection as a result of hotel development and the like. So if you are going to entertain new land uses that could result in higher buildings and the need for different types of fire apparatus, then yes, you could adjust your impact fees upward. And then this council could make the decision whether to augment it with Measure H funds or whether to repay Measure H funds and treat it more like a loan, but that's something you could look at down in the future. So if you wanted to restructure this arrangement in the future because you raised your impact fees, you could just identify a different source of payment for the lease program that we're embarking on under this program. Does that make sense?
Yes, and then the second question would be, I know for other services, we went out to RFQ and made it a hybrid with the RFP. So we asked people to entertain us with what their cost would be plus what their quality would be.
Cost and quality of what?
Of an item or a service?
Right. So my idea would be to go out to RFQ and RFP to see what other fire trucks and what the cost of them are out there, instead of just sole sourcing and saying, okay, we'll just go with this one company, that we would go out to bid for a fire truck and see what else is out there.
Well, you have several different options in terms of procuring something like this. That is one option that the council could, entertain if that's what they wanted to do. The way that we've proposed it here, the sole source method, is also permissible, and that's a policy question for the council to make its decision on. But both methods are permissible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Joe Rivero, do you have any questions on this?
Yeah, I just had I heard tonight something about the big box stores, and they won't come in unless you have the proper equipment. Well, I challenge anybody to go look at any other city, especially our size, that has opened up as many big box stores as we have during these tough economic times. I mean, we've opened them up, and we did have a qualified fire ladder truck, and that was, at the time it was approved, the 50-foot ladder truck was fine. Okay, now I understand that there may be some issues now with its age. What I'm seeing here is an $890,000 bill where it's going to come out $89,000 a year from the Measure H funds. Now, when the public, on a very close vote, was sold that it's going to go for public safety, and a fire truck is for public safety. Now, the thing is do you need the Cadillac model? I mean, a 109-foot ladder truck for $890,000. Now, yeah, the money is somewhat there, but if you, in our packet, it says, let me just read this. Should the city council authorize staff to proceed with the lease purchase, the annual payment would be $89,209. The potential funding sources for the lease purchase of a Quint ladder truck is through Measure H fund. Another option is a combination of Measure H funds and future development impact fees, and that's looking at these impact fees that may or may not come. Now, one of the things that was done tonight is reduce the impact fees for the developers to come in, so, which is kind of going against.
Okay, let's kind of stay with what Rick.
I am. I'm reading right from here about what was said in this.
The impact fees that we voted on at the prior agenda item are not related to this.
Well, yes, it's because it's right here, Madam Mayor.
No, it
I know
is-
you may not want to.
It's not-
Well, I mean, it's talking about impact fees. It may not be that one, but what I'm saying is that it's still impact fees. Okay. The city council's options regarding the annual lease payments to First Municipal Leasing Corporation. The first annual lease payment could be made this fiscal year, 2013, next fiscal year 2014-15, of the following fiscal year 2015-16. In light of Measure H funds being allocated in its entirety for this fiscal year, 2013-14. So now our funds have been completely depleted this year. Okay? But yet, we're going to spend this money next year. Now, here's a problem I really see with this is that, sure, you got the taxpayers' money, now let's spend it all. This is why the city was in the position it was in the past. As soon as there's a little bit of money, let's spend it all. Now, and assuming...
Excuse me, Mr. Joe Rivero. We're not talking about spending it all, okay? That is...
Madam Mayor, please, without a point of order.
Point of order to you also.
I'm deferring.
I will give you the floor, but please do not make a statement, we're going to spend all the money in the Measure H fund, okay? That is
Madam
not
Mayor,
correct. Our financial director said we had the money enough to pay for the lease in...
Point of order.
Point of order to...
You have your chance. I'm deferring to the city attorney. I'm making a statement. I'm interrupted.
Well, the mayor made a comment earlier before the meeting that she's not a referee and neither am I. But let me say this. But let me say this, if I could. My advice to the body would be to let the member finish his comments, and then to the extent they need to be refuted, or somebody feels they need to refute them later, let's refute them later. And then we can always have the discussion down the road.
And Measure H, all the funds are to be spent. I mean, they're not to be held in reserve for something else that the council decides on in the future. They're all supposed to be spent, and I agree with you, except that they're all to be spent. Right here in this statement, it says they've already all been spent this year. Okay, now, as they've been spent this year to bring up the police salaries, have the police salaries been brought up to where they needed to be, or completely?
Not completely, no. We're still about 5 to 7% down.
So the Measure H funds, which is supposed to be to restore the salaries back to where they needed to be, they're not there yet. And yet, this ladder truck is going to put us in debt for the next 10 years, or if you can shorten the time period to maybe 8. But you're spending, and you're assuming that all these Measure H funds are going to be static or maybe increasing. There's no guarantee for that. So what I'm saying is that the council should not be looking at the Ferrari of ladder trucks. I mean, a 50-foot truck would save us a lot more money and assure that the money's there, and there would be more money there to restore the police salaries to where they needed to be. If we spent every single dime right up, then the police aren't going to be seeing their salary restored for the next 10 years. And I heard a statement, oh, the general fund. Well, you know, let me tell you, the general fund is not healthy. I don't believe it is, and it hasn't been for many years. I don't think we should spend every single dime on this golden Ferrari fire truck, a 109-foot ladder, and like I said before, Homeland Security. You know, I heard experts. Well, Homeland Security, when we try to get a fire truck of this magnitude, sent a letter and stated basically no, they wouldn't fund that grant because we didn't have 3 or 4 or 5-story structures. And so a 50-foot truck that was sufficient for opening all these big box stores, opening up all these businesses, I can see we do need a fire truck, and I'll agree with you. I mean, that one is getting old. But to spend every single dime right up to the limit, and then I think that that's stretching it a little bit right now. So I think we should be looking at a little more prudent cost. If it's $890,000, I cannot support that. Every single dime remaining in the Measure H fund when we haven't restored the salaries as they should have been. So that's my statement.
Thank you. And our next person would be Councilman Mooneyham, followed by Councilman Bergman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just think it's amazing that the police department and the fire department agree on anything. I've never seen that. That's amazing. That alone is, and that was a joke, you can laugh at that, that's fine. But the fact that your police chief, having bolstered some of the cuts of the officers so far, having purchased new equipment, leased new equipment, excuse me, having run an ad effective this week, I believe, for hiring of 2 new officers, boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. The fact that Measure H constitutes 10%, in the vicinity of 10% of the overall fund for the fire department that did not receive anything this fiscal year, I see absolutely no problem with this. I really don't. So, thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Bergman?
Thank you, Mayor. Issues were brought up about wages. They're still under. Well, guess what? So are all the employees. They're at the same level as the rest of the employees as far as cuts. So they're even with the rest of the employees. It's not like they're out there alone separately. Number 2, you keep talking about this Cadillac, Councilman Rivero. I suggest you do some research and look at the cost of these pieces of equipment. This is by far and away from being one of the most expensive pieces out there. It's not even close. You want to talk about 50-foot ladders? There's issues with the fire service that require more than what just the height of the building is. Do some research and do some research on collapse zones, so you'd have a little knowledge on why we're going for a piece of equipment that's taller than the buildings. It's necessary, it's for the safety, and it's needed. You talk about this report talks about finance. This isn't a finance report. If you had done your research on the finance report we got at the last meeting,
Sir,
it has to do with this. It has to do
yeah,
with
but
comments
let's
that were said.
not point to fingers,
I'm
please.
just stating, let's do the
general
research
statements.
on the.
Let's not get personal.
Can I finish now?
You sure can.
Thank you. If we would do the research on the information we got from our finance director last, you would see that this is not all of it. You would see that there was a reserve coming from over this year, and even if a payment was made out of this, it does not take all of it. So before comments are made, I wish people would do their research and actually knew what they were talking about.
Thank you. Okay, I will entertain a motion now. We've all had a comment on this, so I'll go with Councilman Jeff Rivero.
I'd like to make a motion to have a RFQ, hybrid of a RFP, come back to the council at our next council meeting so that we can go out to bid for a fire truck and look at the different options that are out there. And also for the city attorney to put something together and to explain to us the impact fees and what we'd have to do to help incoming businesses provide income for a fire truck that the city obviously needs.
Okay. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Joe Rivero. Okay. Do I do we have any discussion on this motion? Mr. Councilman Bergman?
All I'm going to say is we've addressed this before. This is just a stall tactic to try and get this derailed. I'm totally against this motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have any other persons who wish to speak about this motion? We have a motion on the floor. Would you please read the motion, clerk?
To direct a RFQ/RFP for the next meeting for a fire truck, and to direct the city attorney to bring back some information on the impact fees for incoming businesses to help pay for.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll call for the question.
Joe Rivero?
Oh, yeah, I didn't, oh, I guess my light wasn't recognized. Yeah, I think it's shameful to not look, and especially in these economic times, not to look for the very best deal possible. So I vote yes.
Mooneyham?
I do think there is some merit to Councilmember Joe Rivero's motion, but...
Jeff Rivero's motion, sir.
Excuse me, thank you. Jeff Rivero's motion. But I do trust that the research was done by the fire department, so I'm going to vote no.
Bergman?
No.
Jeff Rivero?
I hate to see being a stall tactic. I'm just trying to get the best bang for the buck on the dollar for the city, and I'll vote yes.
Fall?
No.
Motion fails.
Councilman Councilman Larry Bergman.
Move to approve staff's recommendation as presented.
Okay, Mr. Bergman, move to approve staff's recommendation as presented. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem, my apologies. Mooneyham? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor and we have a second. Do we have any questions from the council? Councilman Joe Rivero.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I have, for our city manager, have you or your staff done any research on this, or the contracted outside group done, or they've been the only ones, or have you done the research too?
In regard to the fire truck?
Yeah.
No, the fire department, the fire chief did all the research on that. We didn't have anything to do with that.
So the city didn't do any research. Thank you.
Councilman Jeff Rivero.
I just don't think it's prudent that the city moves forward without taking bids, especially this is Measure H money, and I think we should watch over it as well as possible, and I trust our city manager would be able to look at some RFPs and RFQs and give that information to the council members for this, and I'm sure he would communicate with the fire department. It wasn't a stall tactic. It's intelligence.
Thank you. Councilman Mooneyham, do you have any comments?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Councilman Bergman? I'll
No,
call for
said
the,
enough.
okay, I'll call the question, call for the question.
Jeff Rivero?
No.
Bergman?
Yes.
Mooneyham?
Yes.
Joe Rivero?
No.
Fall?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, item number 9, which is city council matters. Pardon me. Number 1 city council matter is that we have Anthony Cannella coming to speak to us on, and we'd like to invite the audience and the public and everyone, if they'd like to come. Anthony Cannella is going to be coming to visit our community on June 11th, and he's going to meet right here in the council office, council chambers at 11 o'clock. And I have called it a special meeting so that all of our council members may attend, because if you have more than 3 people, council members, then you have to call for a special meeting. So that's what we're doing, is calling for a special meeting. And it will be in here June 11th, 11 o'clock. So if you have the opportunity, please come. This is an important time to talk with our senator, because the governor is doing the revise again for his budget. He has extra money. We would like to get the senator to pass a bill or something to give some of that repayment of the extra money that the governor surplus that he has to our community, because the state owes us about $200,000 for fees that we did for them, and then we're not reimbursed. So it's real important that we get money that comes into our community and into our budget, because $200,000 would really help our budget. So if you can come, we would appreciate that. The second item that we have is that we are going to have our budget hearings, and that's going to start on June 23rd. And that's going to be at 4:30, right here, 4:30 to 6 on the 23rd. Then we're going to continue it again on the 7th of July. I think it's the 7th. 7th of July from 4:30 to 6, in here again for the budget. And then we will have it, then we hope that on the 7th of July, we can have it in our regular session of passing the budget. So we hope that we can do that. So that is the other announcement that we have. We've already talked about the 4th of July. We really want you to contribute, the council and the staff up here. We've contributed our $350, and we sure hope that everybody else does the same. And Mr. McDaniel, please wait, because I'll take care of the item and then get the money from the council. Okay, and with that, I am going to start with our council member, Jeff Rivero.
First off, I'd like to thank the mayor for letting me fill in for her at the Atwater High School graduation. It's a really nice event. They did a wonderful job of showing respect for the students that graduated, and thank you, Mayor. Second one, I'd like to ask for an agenda item for next meeting to deal with water conservation. I'd like the city to look into to see what the cost is per 5,000 gallons for the city, and then see what we can do about offering people rebates or incentives, so that if they use 5 or 10,000 gallons less, that they get to something off of their bill. I know there's a lot of people out there, especially senior citizens, that are single, that don't even come anywhere close to their 25,000 gallons. And the last couple of increases has hurt them very badly. And I think the city benefits twice, because first of all, most reports will tell you about 40 to 60% of your water's used by watering your front yards. So between 40 and 60% of your water's in-house. So when that goes down to our water treatment plant, we're not only having to pay for the water to be pumped to the house, but then we're also getting a second cost, which is then cleaning the water. So we have chemicals and electrical costs there. So I'd like to see what the cost is for per gallon of what the people are using, and seeing if we can come up with an incentive program to help the city out on cost and also the consumer. The third thing is I'd like to wish everybody a happy Father's Day. It's coming up Sunday, so I hope everyone enjoys themselves. Just to echo the city manager on Neighborhood Watch is June 12th at 5:30 at Community Center. And then on June 19th, we have the Hero Program. I don't know if anyone saw it on KMPH Channel 26, but in Fresno alone, it kicked off in March, and to a week ago's date, they had projects have added up to over $7 million in the city of Fresno. I know we're a lot smaller, but I took their figures, downsized it to what our population is of around 30,000. It's 28 plus. But that would be a significant, almost a boost of $2 million to our economy. So I'd also like to look at some of our building fees for people doing additions and other things to their homes that maybe the Hero program works on. So that way we can address, I know we've done for building and it's been successful for residential homes, but I'd like to see if people are going to do this work, to see if maybe we can help out with their fees. And then last, I'd like to ask for, in July, have an update for the Melrose area, just to let these people know where the money is, how it's online. They're extremely happy that it's going to end in 2015, but I'd also like to meet with them to explain to them that everything is still online for that.
You want a community, like we did before? So-
Yes, ma'am. We're at the community center where we invite the Melrose District people there to give them a 15-minute synopsis on.
Councilman, on July 24th, don't mean to interrupt, we're having another town hall meeting. Would you like to do it that same
Yeah, that would
day?
be good.
Yeah, that way
Is that
we
okay?
get more bang for our buck and
Yeah.
back them up one to the other. I'm sure the people in the Melrose District that's had to pay this tax wouldn't mind hearing some
Update.
things that
We
could
need to
save them.
make sure we didn't
Okay.
have the people from the accountants to be there with, so Mr., our Development Director, Mr. McBride, would have to make sure that the accountants for the Melrose would be there on the 24th, did you say?
It might be a little bit better on expenses if maybe they did a conference call, because I know last time the gentleman showed up pretty much when the meeting was over, so maybe we could do a conference call to save the airfare and everything else on the Melrose people. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham.
I don't have anything, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Councilmember Bergman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to wish all the fathers out there a happy Father's Day. All the students who are done with school for the summer, congratulations on another year completed. Have a nice, safe summer. And at the beginning of the meeting, the candidates that have made it through November were congratulated. Mr. McDaniels for making it through November. We have another individual that came in a little late, a congressional candidate, Johnny Teixeira, walked in. I'd also like to congratulate him and also wish him well. And that is all I have.
Thank you. And Councilmember Joe Rivero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I know that our budget hearings are coming up, and I'd like you to present to us a budget where the general fund is become smooth sailing. I know that the increased cost potentially for contracts is going to be going up. We need to, right now, I would like to see a budget right where I feel comfortable, because I have not voted for very many of them in the future, but I'd like to see one that's where it's on smooth sailing and it addresses not only this year, but then we can see something for the following years too, or a plan to see that it's that we take. Well,
Smooth sailing in the general fund?
Yeah, well, you know, and I believe that there's a possibility if you take a look at contracts and such, and there has been. So, you know, do the best you can, and I'm sure you will.
We will
so,
try
and then I'd like to also bring on the next council meeting I believe you'd call the Tin Cup Ordinance. I'd like to see that brought to the council for.
What ordinance is that, sir?
The Tin Cup Ordinance on campaign contribution limits.
Oh, okay.
That Modesto and several other cities have.
Tin Cup Ordinance. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I too would like to congratulate all of the wonderful young people who graduated from the junior highs and from the high schools and from colleges and universities. Job well done. We have the fair going on, so remember to support our FFA and our 4-H people, and be careful because now all of the little people are out after school is out. And summer school for the high school starts on June 17th. And with that, thank you for coming, and meeting is adjourned. Mr. McDaniel, would come here, please. Yes, Mr. McDaniel. Thanks.